Before we went on, I was like, Colton, I need to know that scripture that says I made a covenant with my eyes. And he said, it's Job 31:1. That scripture says, I have made a covenant with my eyes not to look upon a young woman. I think that's what it says. I might have messed that up a little bit. What that is, that's setting a boundary with yourself. So you set a boundary with people, what you allow in and what you don't. And then you set a boundary with yourself. So you may not have planned on lusting this particular day, and then you go out all willy-nilly, you get into an elevator and there's someone that maybe they're exposed, maybe they're just beautiful, I don't know. And you look and you do the second glance and the sin begins to escalate. You purposely look. Well, if you have set the boundary with yourself, I have committed to my own eyes. My eyes have a boundary. You will not look upon this person to lust. If you have that boundary and you reinforce it, you're going to be less likely to go into transgression. There was a young man that told me he had made this covenant with his eyes, and he looked at unplugged.com to check to see if a movie they were going to watch had nudity, and had a few seconds of a woman's chest being exposed. And he said, I've made a covenant with my eyes. If I can look on this, but it'll take me 2 weeks of getting this under control, of casting it down. It's just not worth it. See, the wages of sin is death. And the thing about it is it catches on really quickly. Other covenants that you can make with yourself to set up boundaries with yourself would be, if you're single, that you don't do the things that get you in a situation where you're committing a transgression. Transgression is not a pre-planned sin. It's a purposeful sin, but it's kind of like you get into it and before you know it, you're going down a wrong path. So I talked to a young woman who had started dating. She doesn't go to our church, but a couple weeks ago I said, honey, I know you haven't dated seriously before, and I'm excited for you to have a relationship, but I would like to just reinforce the values of a believer. I would encourage you not to be alone with him. And I would encourage you not to go into his apartment alone. I'm going to encourage you to stay around people. And she was truthful with me. She said, I want to tell you something, Lisa. I'm just not going to do that. I can't adhere to that. Well, I said, well, at least don't go into places of compromising. And she kind of laughed at me. Let me tell you, she will be compromised. You cannot put confidence in the flesh. If you don't have boundaries set up, if you don't have a wall for certain things set up, it gives full exposure to sin. You may think, I'm strong enough, I'm capable enough, I can handle this, but that confidence in your flesh will end up being your downfall. Now, before I got set free from an addiction to sugar, even though I was addicted to sugar, I didn't always consume it because I purposely did not keep it in the house. I knew what would happen. So I didn't make a provision for my flesh. One of my strategies was like, if I don't bring it home, I'm not going to eat it. But if I ever did stop and get it, I was going to consume it. So after I was literally set free from an addiction to sugar, it's been over 7 or 8 years. I can't even remember how many years. I don't eat cookies and pie unless there are some erythritol is something that I will consume instead of white sugar or honey or brown sugar. Don't eat that, even though I look like I might. So once I was set free, that boundary, it really didn't exist anymore, but I set up a new boundary. While I was addicted, I didn't bring that home. I knew I would consume it. After the addiction was broken, I didn't really want to purchase it. You could have it around me. I will never eat it. But I set up a new boundary with myself. I got to looking at other people that are addicted. I believe that Jesus sets the captive free. I believe I'm fully set free. But I do think that I need to set up boundaries in my life and not put confidence in my flesh. So the one thing I decided was I'm not under legalism. I know that I could eat a piece of cake, probably, and not go backwards. But I looked at other people that had like addictions to alcohol, addictions to nicotine or drugs. And if they if they ever went back to it, it was like a consuming thing where the addiction just came on as strong or if not stronger. So my boundary was, you know what? I'm not going to purposefully eat cakes and pies and Oreo cookies and sugared drinks. Now, I decided, like, if I eat peanut butter and it has sugar in it, or somebody gives me something and it has sugar, it might make me sick now since I don't eat that, but that's not going to be a big deal. But I set that up in my boundary. One of the reasons that we aren't as successful as we need to be is because we have no walls. We have no boundaries. There is nothing in our city that's covered. Everything is a free-for-all. If people want to come in and regurgitate garbage on us, we take that in what we think is the name of love. We have no discipline in our lives because we're free and we can do whatever we want to do. One of the boundaries I had to set in my life was that if I set an alarm clock, I could not press snooze. I had to get up. I did that for a long time and was so successful at getting up. And then one day I took the boundary down, I hit the snooze button, and I hit it again, and I hit it again, and I hit it again. And fairly recently, I had to put that back into my life. Now, sometimes we'll put the boundaries up in our life, and we have to reinforce it. You know what I did to reinforce my snooze button? I put the most irritating, agitating sound. There's this bird sound on the iPhone. There's one that's worse, but it made me in a bad mood, and I'm always in a good mood when I wake up. But I put that on there, and I put that alarm away from me, so when that goes off, I have to wake up. It is a boundary. Sometimes we'll say, okay, I'm going to put this boundary up, but never reinforce it.